I love this. Good to be back home, actually. This is home for us. I was born and raised in our first home where we ever lived, probably a few miles from where we are right now. Butler County, the heart of America. And you know what? America is back, and it feels fantastic. Oh, we're just getting started. We have a lot of work ahead, and this is just the beginning of that journey. Over the last 4 years, we went through a national identity crisis. Faith, patriotism, hard work, family, all but disappeared. Young people in this country were hungry to be part of something bigger than themselves, yet so many couldn't even answer what it meant to be an American. Under Biden's presidency, less than 16% of Gen Z said they were proud to be an American, and we had a 25% recruitment deficit in the U.S. military. That is unacceptable to me. And that's why I spent most of last year working tirelessly to help send Donald Trump back to the White House, because it was a fork in the road. It was a fork in the road for the future of the country. And in November, we made the right decision by re-electing the greatest president of the 21st century by sending Donald Trump back. And now you can feel it. There's a fresh new enthusiasm, a new verve, a new energy in America. We can all see it. We can feel it, actually. I'm now more optimistic than I have ever been for the future of our country. We're on the cusp of a new golden age in America right now. A revival of conviction in what it means to be a citizen of this nation. What does it mean to be an American? It means we believe in merit and hard work. That you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. Thank you. It means we believe in free speech and open debate. And that means you get to express your view, whatever that may be, as long as your neighbor gets to in return. And you know what? We can still get together at the dinner table at the end of it. That's what it means to be an American. It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the proud son of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That too is what it means to be an American. It means the people who we elect to run the government should be the ones actually running the government rather than unelected bureaucrats in the deep state. That too is what we fought a revolution for in this country. It means that we as Americans, that we are courageous, that we are brave, and when called upon, even heroic, to do what is right for our country in our hour of need. Those are the American ideals. That is the American spirit that won us the American Revolution, and that is the American spirit that Donald Trump is reviving as our 47th president. But this is not a one-man job. It doesn't work that way. If we're all going to be saved as a people, it is going to be because all of us here step up and save ourselves, and that starts with the states. Starts right here in Ohio. I know Donald Trump's going to be successful in the next 2 years, but that means a range of programs from education to healthcare are moving from Washington, D.C. back to the states and to the people where they belong. That is what true federalism is all about. President Trump is reviving our conviction in America. We require a leader here at home who will revive our conviction in Ohio. And that is why today I am honored to announce that I am running to be the next governor of a great state at the heart of the greatest nation known to mankind, the state where I was born and raised, the state where Apurva and I raise our 2 sons today, a state whose best days are still ahead. I am honored to announce my candidacy to serve as the next governor of the state of Ohio. I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country to start and grow a new business. I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country to raise a young family. I'll lead Ohio to be the top state in the country where our kids get a world-class education in math, reading, writing, critical thinking, and physical education. I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country where we give our kids the toolkit to think of themselves not as victims, but as victors in a competitive global economy. We will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country where we embrace capitalism and meritocracy instead of apologizing for it. We will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country that takes a hatchet to red tape, overregulation, and bureaucracy. We will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country where we lead the way in the sectors of the future, from semiconductors to aerospace. Look at where we are today. How about this company, guys? Love this, in the heart of Butler County. An aerospace company leading us to the future, all the way to AI and the other sectors of our future. I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country where patriots across America actually flock to instead of Florida and Texas. I will lead Ohio to be the state of excellence in America. Thank you. We love you. Love you back, brother. We got it. I just got a gift. We'll put it on. Thank you, brother. Good seeing you. You made that for me. I like it. You did. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You think that sounds unrealistic? It's not, actually. It wasn't long ago that Ohio was that state. Today, young people on the internet, if they want to make fun of something for being a little old or a little bit off, it's sad. It annoys me. They say, only in Ohio. Well, you know what? It wasn't that long ago. At the turn of the last century, people weren't making fun of Ohio. They were aspiring to be Ohio. At the turn of the last century, we were the third most populous state in the country. We were the wealthiest state in the Union, an economic powerhouse. We actually had fertile farmland, great natural resources underneath our ground. You'll notice we have some of those same things today. The leading edge of the Industrial Revolution. Even in the 1950s, 6 of the top 15 wealthiest cities in America were right here at home in Ohio. Toledo was the glass capital of the world. Akron was the rubber capital. Youngstown and Cleveland were jointly the steel capitals of the world. Dayton was the computing power capital of the entire Industrial Revolution. And my hometown of Cincinnati, close to where we are right now, from east side to west, was known as around the world as the Queen City, the consumer products capital of the world. Porkopolis, powering the food supply chain of our entire country. We were the pioneers. I-O, brother. I-O. Where's my east side of Cincinnati at? We got some east siders that came all the way. Thank you for driving all the way to be here with us too, guys. I appreciate that. We were the pioneers. It's who we were. We were the explorers, the unafraid. The people who no government or bureaucracy would dare to stop along the way. The state where the Wright brothers grew up. The state where Neil Armstrong and John Glenn gained the self-confidence to go to the outer frontiers of outer space. We were the state of excellence, and we can be the state of excellence again. We have the same gifts we did back then. The same fertile farmland, the same geographic location, at the heart of the greatest nation known to mankind, the same Erie Canal to New York City, the same Ohio River to the Mississippi, the same workers who embody the great culture and heritage on which this great nation was built. God has blessed our state with every gift we could possibly imagine. All we need to do is to step up and start believing in ourselves again. We're in the middle of a second industrial revolution right now. And I believe deep in my bones that Ohio can lead the way again. If Silicon Valley was at the leading edge of the American economy for the last 10 years, it will be the Ohio River Valley for the next 10 years. And I will lead this state to make it so. I'll be frank, it may not be the same sectors as last time around. It may not be rubber production next time. But it will be the sectors of the future, from semiconductor production to nuclear energy, from biotech to Bitcoin to our defense industrial base. The state where we use AI not to take jobs, but to make jobs through more workforce training and education. I will lead Ohio to that new height and new vision. This is our modern day Northwest ordinance. That's what this moment represents. I'll tell you, this is a state where we're a conservative state. Look at the people in this room. We share deeply conservative values that this country and this state were founded upon. We just need to finally be governed like one. That won't lose us elections. That will win us elections because it'll put more money in your pocket. It'll lift more people up from poverty. It'll revive civic pride and meaning and self-confidence in our young people. And more than anything, it will also make sure that patriots across this country, from New York to California, and yes, from Texas to Florida, move into Ohio to establish their roots here. And that includes so many of the kids who have left the state. We're going to repatriate them by their own choice back to Ohio, close to their parents and their grandparents, because this is the state where they realize their American dream without apologizing for it. Love you, man. Thank you. Thank you. That is going to require a new generation of leadership in this state. It's going to require a governor with fresh legs, who's willing to drive hard change, who's willing to run through any obstacle that stands in the way of turning Ohio into the state of economic excellence in America. There's some changes we need to make. We're not like California. We don't need to do a U-turn. We're headed broadly in the right direction, but we need to step on the gas. We need to bring down the income tax, eventually down to zero, because you deserve to keep what you earn. It is your money, not the government's. We need to bring down property taxes in this state immediately, eventually down to zero. If you own land, it should not feel like it's a lease from the government, and yet so many Ohioans are paying as much in property taxes as they are on principal repayments on their mortgage. That is wrong, it is un-American, and it will end one way or another on my watch as your next governor. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We need to end the wave of violent crime in our cities by empowering police officers to do their jobs with the proper training needed to do it well, while respecting our Second Amendment rights, which shall not be infringed. And that also means that we are going to bring back the psychiatric institutions that were wrongfully shuttered. This is a touchy subject, but I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there because it's the right place to go. It's important. Our jails can no longer be the first line of psychiatric care in this state. That is not compassion. That is cruelty to everyone involved, and we're going to put an end to it. Thank you. We're going to end the war on work in America, starting right here in Ohio, by reattaching work requirements to Medicaid and welfare to address the worker shortage in this state. It's not compassion to make somebody more dependent on the government. The compassionate thing to do is to help them achieve their independence from it. We're going to take every public expenditure in this state and make sure it is visible to the public on the blockchain, from the state level to every municipality, to every locality, to every county. You deserve to see, as taxpayers, how your money is actually being spent, because sunlight is the best disinfectant. Transparency is the way forward for our state. We're going to shred every excess regulation in this state. For every new regulation that gets on the books under my administration, we will require rescinding at least 10 others before that regulation hits the books. Or else it ain't going to happen. Shouldn't take 18 to 36 months to get a new natural gas pipeline permitted in the state. We need to bring that down to 6 months or less. We want to be the top state in the country to be an entrepreneur, to pursue the American dream, to achieve energy dominance, manufacturing dominance, AI dominance. This isn't just about increasing our GDP. This isn't some academic solution. These are vital improvements to our economic and social fabric as a state. So we're no longer a state where little league teams have to shut down because they can't find a local company to sponsor them, where a mom doesn't have to think twice before having a second or third or fourth kid for fear of the cost of a new stroller or a car seat or buying a bigger car. A state where every parent, every mother and father has that bone-deep conviction that their kids will go on to live a better life than they did while staying in this state. That is my dream for this state. We will lead us to become the state of economic excellence in America. But to be the state of economic excellence, we also have to become the state of educational excellence in America. And here we're in the middle of a crisis. It's a crisis of educational achievement in America. I'll be frank. I think it is the single most important crisis that, frankly, neither major political party is talking or doing enough about. We've got a 75% rate of 8th graders across America who are not proficient in math, according to international standards. 70% of them aren't proficient in reading. We rank number 26 out of 38 developed countries when it comes to math and reading proficiency, despite spending more than every one of those countries on education. That's wrong. There are now kids in other countries where English is not even their first language, performing better on English proficiency than our own kids here. That is unacceptable to me. Speaking as a parent, and as an Ohioan, and as an American, I refuse to just stand by and idly watch as China laughs at our gradual decay into oblivion. We're turning this ship around. As your next governor, Ohio will be the state that leads the way. I will lead Ohio to be the top state in the country and in the world, where our kids go on to get a world-class education in math, reading, writing, critical thinking, and physical education. To get there, it's going to require some hard change, and I'm asking all of you to come with me to get there for the sake of our kids. We got to take our school choice programs, which are fine in this state, to the next level, to the level of Arizona and Iowa, so every kid, no matter what zip code they're born in, from the inner city to our rural communities to our suburbs, can get the best possible education they can dream for themselves, and that includes not just private schools and charter schools, but even homeschooling as a viable option for parents who desire it. But today I'm going to go further. There is a canon of what great conservatives have been doing across the rest of the country, and in some cases we need to catch up, and we will. But we're also going to lead the country in making sure that our public schools are able to compete and equipped to compete with the best of the alternatives. That means, first of all, that our kids are safe in our schools. As your next governor, I will ensure that we use our dedicated base of police officers to ensure that we have at least one of them in every school in this state with the proper training needed to be there. Thank you. And I've met many of those police officers. They're standing by and ready to do it. We're going to make sure that we lead the way in our kids actually showing up to school. We have a chronic absenteeism problem in this state, and it's only gotten worse after the COVID-19 school closures. I will pledge this to you as your next governor: never again will we bend the knee to an Anthony Fauci knockoff who allowed our public schools to be closed while my alma mater of St. X remained open. That's unacceptable. She owes those kids an apology in our public schools. We're going to stand for the achievement of our students, from the sports fields to the classroom, to pursue excellence in every domain. And to that end, I will lead Ohio to be the first state in the country that adopts the most common sense reform required to allow our public schools to compete. We will be the first state in the United States of America that implements merit-based pay for every teacher, principal, superintendent, and administrator in our public schools. we're going to lead the country. Let me be clear. I'm not going to seek picking a fight with the teachers' unions, but I will do whatever is required to stand for the achievement of our students. And let me also be clear about this. Our best public school teachers actually deserve to be paid a lot more than they are right now. I think of Mrs. Kinney for me in the 6th grade at Robert E. Lucas Intermediate School, Rellis, in the Princeton School District, not far from where we are right now. Great public school, had a magnet program. I switched into there in 6th grade. She caused me to see in myself things I didn't know I had in me, the potential that she unlocked by lighting a fire under my feet, to actually believe in myself, to achieve the things that I would have otherwise imagined impossible. She changed my life. I don't think I would have lived the American dream without her, and I would be thanking her here in person today, but for the fact that she died in a tragic accident a couple of years ago. We need more teachers like Mrs. Kinney. But we're not attracting the very best anymore because there is no meritocracy in compensation. With merit-based compensation, Ohio will be a magnet for the best educators across the country. We owe it to our kids that the very best teachers in America are teaching our own kids how to excel in math and reading and writing. And we won't forget about physical education either. We're going to bring back PE into early childhood education beginning in kindergarten. It's important. And you know what? We're going to bring back the presidential fitness test. Bring that back in the 8th grade. That includes the pull-ups. That doesn't mean everybody's going to be able to do it, but it sets a standard. We're going to serve healthier food in our cafeterias because the best way to save on health costs in the long run is to cultivate a healthier population in the first place. That includes not just physical health, but mental health as well. The epidemic of depression, anxiety, fentanyl, suicide that has festered in our state for too long will end on my watch. We're going to fill that void at the heart of a generation, starting with the schools. Get the cell phones out of the schools. There's no controversy around this. There's no reason for it. The cell phones out of our classrooms, full stop in our public schools in Ohio. But we'll go further to fill that crisis of purpose and meaning in our young people. So many of them hungry to be part of something bigger, hungry for that cause, hungry for that call of meaning, hungering for the real thing. We got to fill that black hole, that void. Individual, family, nation, and God beats race, gender, sexuality, and climate if we have the courage to actually stand for our own vision. And as your next governor, I take that responsibility seriously. We're going to stand for the positive revival, let's start with faith, in our state as well. And I'm speaking about a modern-day Northwest ordinance. Actually, the Northwest Territories, Ohio was the heart of that, were established by a group of Baptists who came here before the Constitutional Convention to secure a place for religious liberty for persons of every faith. So that here, 200 plus years later, a guy like me can be running for governor of our state. We were the state of religious freedom, and we're going to stand for the revival of faith by standing for the religious freedom of persons of every faith in this state, because that is who we are. We're going to stand for the power of the nuclear family as the greatest form of governance known to mankind, because it's the truth. We're going to eliminate the disincentives to family formation, but also as your next governor, as a relatively young governor, Apoorva and I take this responsibility seriously. We aspire to hold ourselves to a higher standard, to a standard where young men and women across this state can look at us as their leaders and say, you know what, marriage is cool. Family is cool. We're not going to talk out of both sides of our mouth when it comes to our conservative values. We want to set the example for that next generation. It means bringing back civic education in our schools. It means teaching our kids to be proud of our country and our state rather than ashamed of it. Eliminate the woke indoctrination and victimhood psychology with actual U.S. history and actual civics lessons. Say the Pledge of Allegiance with a moment of silence every day in public schools across this state. To be grateful for every day we are given. And every high school senior in this state, when I'm your next governor, will have to pass the same civics test that every legal immigrant has to pass in order becoming a full citizen of this country, because you can't love a country that you don't know the first thing about. We're gonna light that fire under the feet of our public education system, and that lays the foundation for higher education in our state as well. Let me be clear, I want Ohio to have the best universities in the country. I went to Princeton public schools through 8th grade. I went to St. X in Cincinnati for high school. Where are my Bombers? Love our long blue line in here. I went to Harvard for college, Yale for law school. My parents came to this country with no money 45 years ago. I've gone on to found successful companies. I did it while marrying my lovely wife, Apurva. How'd she do, guys? She was pretty good there, wasn't she? She's lived her American dream. She's a throat surgeon at the cancer hospital in Columbus. We are proud of our path to the American dream, but we also recognize that our path cannot be the only path. And as your next governor, I will ensure that we stand for vocational programs for those who want to be electricians and welders and carpenters and builders, supporting earn while you learn programs as early as high school, getting the occupational licensing requirements out of the way so people don't have to actually riddle themselves with college debt on their shoulders to also pursue the American dream. I don't call these the trades. We should stop calling it that. I call them professions, because that's what they really are. We want to be a state where all paths are open. We want the genius programmers who are going to program the next generation of AI. We also want the skilled workers who are able to use that AI and apply it to their respective fields, from healthcare to financial services to construction design. This isn't a blame game. It's not a game of either or, where one of these paths is more or less elite than the other. We're a state where the paths to success are plural. I'm getting hot here. I'm taking this home. I'm taking this home, but I appreciate that hat, man. Thank you. In all seriousness, I want Ohio to be a state where the best students in our state who want to become a doctor or an engineer, or for that matter, a scholar of history or literature or chemistry, can go to our universities from UC to OSU to Bowling Green to OU to pursue that dream, while our best young men and women who want to become an electrician or a welder or a mechanic also have a path to success as well. We are the state where every path should be open to every child. That is what a true meritocracy is all about. America was built on the idea of a meritocracy. A nation that recognized that every one of us has our own unique God-given gift, distinct from every other person in the world, and that we are the nation where you get to make the most of your own God-given potential without any government or bureaucracy stopping you. That's what made America great the first time, and that is how we will make Ohio great again. It's not just going to be the economic numbers. It's not just going to be the GDP growth, though that will come. My metrics for success as your next governor are the number of people who move into our state versus out, the number of children who are born into families in our state, and the number of those children who go on to remain in this state to make Ohio the place they pursue their American dream. And as your next governor, I will hold myself to the standard of leading the nation on each of those metrics. We can do this. This is a state where the American dream is possible, not just through flowery language, but through actions. The state where the next generation doesn't have to be envious of those who succeed through capitalism, because they're actually participating in it themselves with real skin in the game. I'm a father of 2 young sons. I'm going to see them at our next event in Columbus tonight. I couldn't manage to get them out of school to bring them here. Apurva wouldn't let me do that. But we're going to see them later tonight. And my message for them when we head up to Columbus, and my message to every son and daughter of Ohio tonight, is that the American dream is your birthright. A world-class education is your birthright. Success is your birthright. Freedom is your heritage. Excellence is your destiny. This is not a small vision for our state. This is an ambitious vision because that is who we are as Americans and as Ohioans. We're not victims, we're victors. We don't whine, we win. I'm not a career politician, I'll tell you that. I didn't come from the world of politics, and I don't end up staying there for the rest of my life either. There's no teleprompters here. If I screwed something up in this speech, I can't blame my speechwriter because you're looking at him. So you're gonna get what you signed up for with me. I'm an entrepreneur who has lived the full arc of the American dream, and I will fight every day to pass that American dream on to my kids and their generation. I will fight every day for this state as your next governor. I'm gonna visit all 88 counties of this state this year. And I'm gonna visit all 88 counties of this state next year. And I'm gonna visit all 88 counties of this state every one of the next 8 years that I am your governor. Because I wanna listen to Ohioans. I don't wanna govern from a bubble. I wanna listen to you. We're going to lead Ohio by winning next year's general election in a landslide that unites this state with a big tent coalition that includes constitutional conservatives like me, but it will also include every kind of Republican. It'll include independents. It'll include libertarians and orphaned Reagan Democrats and other orphaned Democrats and anybody else who finds themselves politically homeless. If you care about economic excellence and educational excellence in Ohio, then we are on the same team. I want every Democrat in this state, from over the Rhine in Cincinnati, to the inner city of central Cleveland, to the foothills of Appalachia, to hear me loud and clear when I say this. We may not agree on everything. We're not going to agree on everything, and that's okay. It's a beautiful thing. We love our diversity of thought in the state of Ohio. But if you want to put more money in your kids' accounts, if you want your kids to have the same shot at the American dream that this state and this country gave to me, then we're on the same team. And we will work with you to take our state to the next level. You will have a seat at the table in this movement if you share those two goals in common. I'm grateful for the wide base, actually, of statewide endorsements and national endorsements that we've already received. I want to thank senators like Rick Scott and Marsha Blackburn and Mike Lee who have endorsed nationally. Marsha Blackburn may have a future in a similar seat like this, but I don't want to front run her in her state. I want to thank a lot of the people who came nationwide to become part of this broader movement. Steve Hilton here from California. How do you do? Pretty good, huh? Longtime friend. Greg Lopez, great job. People who are going to take these ideas and revive federalism in America. I'm grateful for the base of statewide endorsements that we've already received even before I've entered this race. You guys called me into this, and that means a lot. Frank LaRose, a great Secretary of State. He's going to be a great state auditor next as well. Thank you, Frank, for being here and for speaking at the start of this. I want to thank Robert Sprague, who's actually kicking off our event in Columbus right now, who is an outstanding state treasurer. I want to thank him for stepping back and out of the governor's race after I told him I was going to enter it, and instead endorsed to become an outstanding next Secretary of State who has a bright future in our state ahead of him. I want to thank Christina Rogner, who did an outstanding job tonight, one of our rising stars in the Republican Party in the state legislature of Ohio, who is running for state treasurer and has a bright future ahead of her. I want to thank all of the state representatives from this part of the state. Many of you are here tonight. Where's George Lang? Oh, there you are, Jennifer. Good to see you. Good to see you guys. Rodney Creech. Thomas Hall called me beforehand. That was actually a good example. He endorsed me as well. He was going to be here. He couldn't be here because he's a volunteer firefighter. And he couldn't leave his men because they had a fire situation to handle. I said, go do that. We got this covered right here. This is a broad-based coalition that's actually going to lift our state up. There's some people tonight. What do you mean? There's a very special moment for me. It brings me back to childhood. I'm going to call a couple of them up to the stage who were instrumental in shaping my own path to get to where I was. Actually, not far from here was the place I used to get my hair cut from when I was probably 4 years old all the way to 18 when I graduated from St. X. He was one of the first guys that actually shaped my conservative views. So listen to this in the barber chair. We'd have Rush Limbaugh on. We'd ask him, getting conservative earfuls, preaching to a young guy. He was great. He influenced my views. He had a Corvette out in the front. I was a car guy growing up. And I asked him, how'd you get that Corvette? He turned around, stopped the haircut, looked me in the eye. You know how I got it? Hard work. And that stuck with me. If he's here, DJ, you here, my man? I want to call you up to the stage. Right behind you, DJ. We say a few words tonight. Welcome DJ to the stage. Barbershop still in Sharonville. Decades later.